So good morning, community. How are you? Good afternoon to the East Coast. Good morning to the West Coast. How are you today? How are your lives? How are your family? How are your children? How's your spirit? How's your heart? How's your family? How's your stamina? But most of all, how's your faith? I just want to hop on right quick today, really with a tip. I keep thinking tips should be short and to the point, right? Yesterday, I started talking to you about your faith, and I really want to keep you focused on that as we go forward. Faith is the substance of things not seen. I actually should get that one. Okay, so let me say this. Where do you anchor your faith? Where do you place your faith? When you're going through difficult times, when you're having a hard time trying to figure things out, when it seems like ends aren't meeting, and I'm sure we've all been there before, what do you anchor yourself in? When you finish with your prayers and you've made a shift within yourself regarding whatever it was that you were concerned about, how do you then stand in the faith that is going to turn out close to what you asked for, or at least similar to what it was that you were asking for? And as I was talking to you yesterday about faith, and I mentioned that I had done a faith and fear workshop, 4 weeks on, I don't know why I did 4. Could have been 2 weeks on fear and 2 weeks on faith, that I had standing room only for faith. And then we went to fear, it dropped to half the size. And the reason why I bring it up now is because it can be really fearful for some of you, maybe what's happening on the planet. And we're more comfortable with our fear. We know our fear, we've lived in our fear, we talk to our fear, we walk around in our fear, we live in fear. So when someone's throwing a lifeline at you, and they're saying, grab onto this lifeline, and it's a line of faith, you're reaching and reaching, and maybe you're like, well, where is it? I can't see it. I can't see it. Where's the faith? I can't see it. Because we're so familiar and connected to our fear. Our fear that things are going to go to hell in a handbasket. Our fear that you won't get a job, you won't work, you won't have enough money. I don't know, you're going to end up on the street. But we're more comfortable with that rhetoric going on around and around and around in our head. And it goes around unconsciously. We don't even think about what's rotating through our mind and how it's feeding our sense of fear, our sense of maybe being abandoned, not being taken care of, not being heard. All those kind of things become an issue for us. So how do you get out of the fear? Because fear will just keep you immobilized. Actually, fear will keep you paralyzed. And in these incredible unfolding and evolving times, we need to be in a place of taking action. We need action. We need self-care. So what does it look like for you to take action? You say your prayers, you do your Hail Marys, maybe you're Muslim and you pray, you do your prayers in the morning, you do your prayers 5 times a day. But what do you do after you step out of those prayers? What do you do after you step out of reading the inspirational reading? Maybe you read the Daily Word, or you read, I'm reading Change Your Life to Change Your Thoughts to Change Your Life by Dr. Dwayne Dyer. So you have to continuously be feeding yourself, feeding your spirit with something that inspires you, that motivates you, that in spite of everything that's going on out here in the world, you have something that when you look at it and you read it, it shifts your energy. So what does that for you? I have books all over my house that do that for me. But you want something that you can pick it up, and when you read it, when you finish, you're like, okay, I'm back to center. What gets you back to your center? What gets you back on point in your life? And this may be the time to understand that about yourself. Ooh, it's warm. And understand what that looks like and feels like for you. So maybe you're one of those people that your stimulus check was cut the other day. Or maybe you're someone who's off from work and maybe they're looking at now letting you go. That takes you off your center. So when that information comes or those calls come, it throws you off your center. You get upset, you get worried. How do you get yourself back to center? Because walking this journey, you want to do it from your center. I'm real clear, and I don't want anyone to be alarmed, but we always have a tendency to think, okay, well, this will be over with, next week, or this is going to get better. I need for you to be mindful that it may not get better for a minute. As people decide whether they're going to wear a mask or not wear a mask, which is really becoming a big issue. Students are going to go to school or not go to school. They go to school and come home and infect their parents. The parents get sick. So there's a lot that's coming our way in these next 2 months. Just prepare yourself now. How do you keep yourself strong? How do you keep yourself standing straight just like a tree with the roots of your being going deep down into the soil of the universe? How do you keep your heart anchored to a power that's greater than you, greater than the president, greater than what's going on? So that when it doesn't seem like things are going the way you think they should be going, or even the way you want them to go, but you can still see that they're going to be okay. You have to remember, I think of my grandparents, those who lived through World War I, those who lived through World War II and the Great Depressions. They lived through this. And I have at least one person on the planet to talk to about that, how they do it, what was their mindset. And for some of us, I think for Black folks in general, we just have this thing of you put your head down, you put your nose down to the grind, and you just do what you have to do no matter what's going on out there in the world. There's also a huge religious and spiritual component. I know that comes with Black folks, and I'm sure with Latinos and all people of color. We've needed it all along the journey that we can pull on. And there may be, Psalms. I don't necessarily agree with all the stuff in the Bible, but I do remember the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. I know the whole 23rd Psalms, but that right there for me is more than enough. The Lord, the universe, that presence, that power that keeps the sun in the sky and the sky in the sky. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. So I don't have to want for peace. I don't have to want for understanding. I don't have to want for compassion. I don't have to want for food. I don't have to want for answers. It all will come long as I continue to stand and trust in my faith. So where is your faith? What do you have your faith anchored to? And then how do you continue to strengthen and cultivate that relationship for yourself? Some of you who read the Bible, maybe read the Bible in the morning and you read the Bible in the evening. Others of you, maybe you're reading the Quran. Some of you may be reading the daily word or the daily Om. But whatever it is, this is the time you want to pull that out and add that to your routine and make sure on a regular basis you're feeding your spirit. Television and the news is going to feed your fear. And if you look at it every day, and if you look at it for long periods of time, notice how you feel when you walk away. And realize that you get to decide if you're going to continue to feel that way by continuing to look at the news. We are 100% in charge of what goes into this, our spirit, our hearts, our head, and our mind. We get to choose what that's going to be and what that's going to look like and how we're going to allow that to impact us. So be clear for yourself what anchors you, in something bigger than yourself. Is it reading the Bible? Is it inspirational reading? Is it saying your prayers, your mudras? Is it walking, what am I thinking of? I can see it, but I can't think of the name of it. But it's those silent walks that we do by a design that's been created for us already. Whatever that is, if it's hug a tree and you can feel the energy and the power of the tree, whatever that is, I want you to strengthen that now. And anchor yourself in it and make it part of your self-care. See, nurturing your spirit. If you nurture your laughter and joy with your children or friends or on the phone looking at TV, you want to nurture your soul. So you want to continue to keep nurturing your soul over and over and over. Filling it with something that's bigger than what you see showing up in the world or bigger than your fears. And then if we had to take a moment and think, okay, what could possibly come next that we're not prepared for? What would you need to do? I think I've said this to you before. Does everybody in your house know what to do if there's an emergency? Does everybody know where the fire extinguisher is if there were a fire? Does everybody know where medical cards are if they need it? Do you have extra flashlights and extra batteries? Have you gathered enough water to have in your house if you need it? Do you have enough toilet paper? I suspect every time you've gone to the store, maybe you've picked up a package of toilet paper since we can only pick up one. I want to just ask you to be sure that you're continuing to keep your house stocked with the basics of what you need. So if at any point we get a call or notice from somebody's governor somewhere that says you're on lockdown, you have a curfew until 6 every day, you cannot be out, You already have what you need. You already are ahead of the game. Throughout this entire process, though, this is a testament to yours, mine's, our faith. Faith in something bigger than the experience we're in. Faith in something bigger than the administration we think is running everything. But faith deeply in humanity and who is at the core of creating humanity. And that energy and that power has not abandoned us. That energy and that power has not betrayed us. But ultimately, this is about our growth, our willingness to grow, to turn to each other, depend on each other, to take care of each other, to even just think about others. And then make choices in alignment, make choices in alignment with how do we move in greater alignment. And we anchor all that in your faith. So I want you to pause whatever you got going on for a moment and ask yourself, where is my faith? Maybe you had your faith in the president. I don't know. Good morning. Maybe you had your faith in your husband and your family. Maybe you had your faith in job. What was that? Maybe you had your faith in a job. But right now, since so much of the established systems and structures are malfunctioning, are not functioning at all, basically falling down and crumbling, it leaves us to turn within and begin to think about, okay, what is really going to sustain me? Where can I anchor my sense of knowing that we're going to be okay? And anchor it there, to stay there. So that when you're on the sea, if you've ever gone fishing or you're out on a boat and it's bumping up and down, it gets rocky, you still know there's something greater than that bumping up and down that's going to keep you safe and get you to your destination. I want you to get that now. I need to go get a calendar. We must be on day, 30, 120 something days. So on this day, I want you to take time and focus on your faith. Because of all the things that's going on this planet, no one is talking to you about how you're going to keep yourself anchored in the storm. And here's the thing, the peace of the storm that we're in, the peace is in the center of the storm. So you have to get right down there in the center of it. And then you just stand. And everything's swirling around you and swirling around and swirling around, swirling around. But while it's swirling around, you're in the center of the storm, so you're not getting knocked over. You're not getting tousled all around where you were if you were on the outside of the storm. You're right here in the center. And it's going around all around you. The schools, the healthcare, the unemployment, the businesses, the students in school or not in school, families going to work. It's just swirling all around you. But you can stand like an oak tree with your roots anchored deep, 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 deep in the spirituality of your belief. And you can extend that energy down to anchor you so you can stand tall and strong, because you may have to make some big decisions coming forward. At the same time, you know that same energy is anchoring you up there all the way up to the top. So you have this amazing energy of white light that just connects you. Or you can just visualize white light that comes down and surrounds you. But I want you to anchor yourself in your faith. I want you to, for a moment, just think, okay, what else could happen? Well, what else could happen is the kids don't go to school at all, that they just home for the first 2 months of the semester. What would that mean for you? What would you have to shift and change to be in that environment? What would you have to do in your home? Now we're getting ready to do homeschool again. What kind of rules, what kind of things would you have to shift and change in your house? Who would you have to make connections with? What else can happen? If we're looking ahead and not waiting for it to happen and say, oh my God, look what happened, but you're thinking ahead, beside the schools, not going back to work, now we've got unemployment. We've had unemployment, it's just increased. So what are the possibilities that may come that you may have to make some choices about? I want you just to gradually begin to think about that now. I don't want you to keep getting, knocked off your center because, wow, I didn't know that was going to happen. Well, when did that happen? I want you to be anchored so you stand strong in the midst of the storm. That you stand with the faith knowing that this too shall pass. If you're not good at it, if you have a grandmother here, go talk to her about what they did during World War I or World War II or during the Great Depression. We have people here who've lived through that who can give us the tips on how they made it through. And I'm sure it had to do with being frugal. And I know people are probably being more frugal than they ever had. It had to do with patience. I'm sure they had to have faith that they would make it through. They knew some wouldn't. But how you live through this process is going to be determined by what you think. So that's what I want you to focus on. When you're going forward, the Tuesday tip, where is your faith? What is your faith anchored in? And how do you activate your faith? So that no matter what you hear on that boob tube, as my grandmother used to call it, or the idiot box, now I see why she said that. God, was she brilliant. And that was like, I don't know how long ago my grandmother said that. Because you realize that TV is nothing about marketing, it's nothing more than marketing advertisement, with a few stories in between to make you feel good. So when they hit you with all the stuff you need to buy on the commercials, your guard is down. You're like, ooh, let's buy that. Ooh, I do need that. That's all it is. And she called that back when I was like 13. She called it the idiot box. And the more I look at it these days, I'm like, why do I have it? I haven't found anything on there I really, really like. Maybe something on Netflix, but I watched, I'm like, oh, that's selling me something. Oh, what are you selling me today? What are you selling me? And the whole time I'm noticing everything on TV is selling me something. So when you turn it off and you connect to your family and your friends and your loved ones, get yourself anchored in your faith, whatever that faith is. If it's reading your Bible, if it's reading the Quran, if it's reading the Torah, if it's sitting with the sutras, if it's sitting in silence and prayer and meditation. Now here's the thing, I'm sure you do your prayer your way. I'm just gonna say, please stop bugging God, asking for the same thing over and over and over. Your request was heard the very first time. Your request was heard the very first time. Usually when we pray to God, God's like, okay, cool. Now what are you going to do to make that a reality in your life? It doesn't just all come from God. It comes through us from God. So you have to pay attention when you hear, oh, go do this. And you're like, I don't want to do that. Well, that was God telling you to go do something that you said you wanted. This is the time to cultivate that relationship with that power and presence, however you define it for yourself, to spend time with that presence, to go hug a tree and be as strong as a tree if you need to. And remember, trees usually don't break, but they do bend. They bend this way and they bend this way. And we have to do some bending right now. We have to look at what's going to be best. Please do not let the television define for you what's happening in your world, in your life. You get the news. We're all just sitting waiting to see if they're going to lock us down. I don't even look at it anymore for the numbers. There's several young people on there that's doing some great things that I saw on news, but I'm just waiting to see if the government's like, okay, you're locked down, you have a curfew, you can't come out. Other than that, what else is there to look at? We know they're doing testing. We know there's not enough testing. The testing takes 10 days. Who needs to keep hearing that over and over? We know the numbers are rising because kids are having parties. I just saw somewhere where kids in New Jersey, and there was like 400 people having a party. That's the way Americans are. So it's no use thinking this is going to end anytime soon as long as we have that kind of behavior. So while that's going on, what I want you to do, since we're not a part of that, we're not dancing, we're not at the party, we're not with crowds of people, we're not at the bars, I want you to think about, we already know if this gets better, in a sense, okay, we'll be okay. I want you to think you're going to be okay no matter what, and that the getting better may not come for a couple of months. So whatever you have to do to, put your shoulders back and muster up the strength and the faith to keep taking steps, then that's what we'll have to do. And the most important thing, let me ask you to consider, is do not let television define your narrative. You define for yourself. Are you going to say, oh, it's the worst thing in the world? Oh, my God. Or can you accept that there's some evolution that's happening at this time? Can you accept that there really is some transformation? People are starting to talk to each other. Families in their own home are starting to talk with each other and connect with each other. Neighbors are starting to connect with each other. People are starting to open their eyes and see things differently. I realized the other day that there's been a lot of indoctrination that America has done, and we really don't need to be mad at each other. It's America's indoctrination that has pitted us against each other. So now in this time, while America's in disarray, we get to look beyond all of that and decide for ourselves, who is that person? Forget the color of their skin. Are they a nice person? Are they caring? Are they understanding? Where did they live? What's their life like? What's my life like? We get to do that now. Nothing stops us from doing that. So it's really a transformational time. When you think about 5 or 6 months ago, we didn't care about the person next to us. We just wanted what we wanted, when we wanted, and how we wanted. Now our whole focus is, okay, what are they doing? Do they have their mask on? Do I have my mask on? Make sure I'm taking care of others. So it really is some powerful transformation that's happening if you don't spend all your time looking at the TV and the news. Absolutely. You do have everything you need. It's right there within you, but you can't find it. You can't excavate that out of you if you're constantly looking outward at whatever they're telling you to do. You have to be willing to go inward. I'm just going to have Kat come up here with me one day. We'll do this together. Release it to the universe, the love and light, and move forward. And what I particularly want you to release is the fear. If you're in fear, and I know it's tough. I know it's tough for some people. I was too scared. My fear made me save, honestly. My fear made me put money aside. My fear, because it's just me. I don't have a husband. It's just me, my son. I do have some friends, but my fear is like, if something happens, you have to take care of yourself. So I've always moved toward that more gracefully, probably in the last 30 years. A few more years before that, I wasn't. So I'm always operating, if something happens, how do I take care of me and my son? So I want you to begin to start thinking those things too. Not how is somebody out there going to help me, but what resources do I have in here? What resources do I have in the house? What resources do I have with friends and family to do this and make this happen? So you define how this experience is for you. I have been calling it evolving and transformational from day one, because I still go back to Kobe Bryant, who gave us the heads up, broke our hearts open then, and our hearts have been open ever since. If it triggers anything in our heart, I think it's transformational. When old systems fall down and we realize and we can see they no longer work, it's transformational. And when we start moving toward actions that we haven't taken before, now we're evolving. There's more young people out on the street and involved in this movement that's happening than there ever have been, it seems like. I mean, there's like a picture of some little kid who's like 8 years old with some woman who spits in his face. That makes a difference. So this is really about humanity. And maybe this is really the way we come back together the way we were supposed to be before America's need to indoctrinate people to its philosophy took over. Maybe now we get to step into the truth of who we are, of that oneness of humanity, and live from that. Not live from what America says we are. Oh, you're white, or you're black, or you're yellow, or you're this. Oh, you're rich, or you're poor. Oh, the religions. Oh, you're Christian, you're Catholic, you're Buddhist. All of those things separated us. So now look at it. I mean, look at it. I'm just thinking about it. All that's kind of been moved aside. And now where's the focus? On humanity. So maybe if you can begin to look at things from that perspective, I look at it from the way it is here, and then I look at it from a spiritual perspective, that this is all about humanity coming together. Look at all the people who are donating their time to prepare the boxes to give those boxes to cars that drive up. There's thousands of cars that drive up here in Pasadena at the Rose Bowl to get food. Somebody is doing that. Somebody is showing up and volunteering. That's what we do for each other. I have a friend of mine who's a superintendent who never stopped school because she goes to school every morning to make sure her kids have food. This is all about humanity and how well we're willing to trust each other, lean on each other, and, is it 10 o'clock? And be there for each other when who we thought would be there, the government, can't be there for us because it's in its own disarray. It's in its own, it's in its own, the word's not coming. But it's in its own, let's say that it's being broken apart and shifted and being revealed for what it is so that we can see that. But we only have so much impact on that. Our energy will have an impact on this whole entire planet and on humanity. So if you find yourself in fear, if you're sitting there saying, oh my God, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Stop. Turn to your faith. Whatever your faith is, turn to your faith. Pull out the books you have. You know, yesterday I was reading from my own book, Faith the Size of a Mustard Seed. And it was a wonderful acknowledgement. I'll just give you some of these affirmations. One says, I let go easily and effortlessly, accepting that all is in divine perfect order. And it's a chapter on letting go. How many times have you heard let go and let God? If you love something, let it go. It'll come back, right? You remember hearing that? Letting go is a part of life. And part of what you will have to do, I think I'm going to stay in this book a few days, is let go. Let go of all the stuff out there. Let go of the worry. Worry has never gotten any of us anywhere. It is a cultivated habit that we've done unconsciously. So let go of worry. Oh my God. All that, oh my God, this is nowhere. Let go of worrying. You can let go of fear. We already have broken up into I don't know how many acronyms. The bottom line is it's a habit. It's safe. Something happens where, oh my God, This is automatic, as opposed to, hey, yeah, something's happened. Now what are we going to do? So it's about us really turning in and stepping into what's inside of here. And the more you do that, you'll activate your faith, and then you'll be surprised. Some of the answers may just come to you easily and effortlessly. We can't hear it as well when we're in fear. But when we're open to faith, when we're open to possibilities, now the universe can drop it in our side of our spirit. They'll drop a just like that. And it comes so fast. You're like, what was that? What did I hear? What did I feel? It'll be dropped in our spirits. So I'm just trying to give you some different perspectives of how to look at this. The biggest piece to this whole thing is humanity. How well we're going to be with each other, how well we're going to talk with each other, how well we're going to love each other. Now we have to really look at those people basically as who we are, just in a different form. They're the same as us because we're all humanity and we all came from one source. So you define it for yourself. I've been saying that to you all along. Do not let the media, do not let anybody else define it for you. Be mindful of what's being said. Know that there is more to this than we know. There's always more to it than we know. It's too many layers to the government. I mean, even when I look at where we can have an impact to start to make some changes, there's just so many things that's all connected. I mean, America was good in setting up this system. I can see it so well now, how they really set it up for them to be superior in a sense. Not all of you, because I know it didn't involve all of you. And then for everybody else to be down here, and that these people would do all the hard work and they would get all the money. Now we get to do something about that. So remember, there's only one source. I keep telling you that. Call by many, many names. I don't care what you say. I'm not fighting with you on it. There's one power, one presence in the universe. That one power is everywhere present at all times. It's not like just over here for certain people and then come back over here for other people. It's present all the time for everyone. So draw nearer to that presence, that force, that power. Anchor yourself in that force and power. And if you say how, well, some of you pray, some of you chant, some of you do meditation, some of you do the dervish dance. Do the things that will shift the energy around your heart so you have space to keep on moving. Once you give it to God, you go. Once you tell God, God, help me with the rent, tell me the person I need to talk to make sure I can get the resources that I need, point me in the direction, send me the information and the resources, then you get quiet and listen. And you listen all day and you listen the next day until you hear the message from God that says, do this, call this person, ask this, say this. And then you find joy in all your other moments. Every single moment. Find joy. The children getting on your nerves, send them all outside and wet them with a water hose. Just for no reason. They could be fully dressed. Just go wet them. They'll be like, Mom, Dad, why you do that? Just because I felt like it. For the fun of it. Be willing to be enjoyed during this time. Be willing to take steps that you haven't taken before and explore things that maybe you haven't explored. Just right there in your own home, in your own community. Be willing to put some chairs out in your front yard and meet with some people in your neighborhood and say, hey, how you doing? How's your family? Because when you look at them, remember, we all just come from one source. And if you're willing to have faith over your fear, then you'll be able to navigate this with a little bit more grace and ease. Have a great day. Take good care. See you, cat. I love you. Like the water fight? Yeah. I'm like, do things that you wouldn't normally do. The kids be like, Mom, why you do that? Just for the fun of it. Just something, why don't y'all go outside? As soon as they go out there, turn the water sprinkler on. Everybody's screaming and running around, but they're having fun. And that's what you want to do during this time. Take good care of you. Take good care of your loved ones. Absolutely. Faith over fear. Bye for now. Have a good day, cat. I love it. Fun, love, and laughter.